You might think there's a grammatical error in my title, The Points of Life, because you never hear anyone ask, what are the points of life? Instead they ask, oh so philosophically, what is the point of life? Well, I really don't know the answer to that question, but what I am here to help you discover today are that there can be multiple points of life. See, right here, right now, we are all at the same point. The same geographical point, the same point in time, with at least a similar point in mind, to seek a deeper understanding of each other and of the world by sharing and listening to creative ideas. But what got me to this point is obviously very different than what got you to this point. And I find it crazy that each of us, with all of our different life experiences, age differences, and backgrounds, somehow all of these things have led up to us being in this very room together, right here, right now. I want to assume that everyone listening to this would say that at some time or another, you found yourself asking the question, what is the point in this? What is the point of my life? I know I've asked myself that question, and I think it can actually be healthy every now and again to ask a question like this, to do some introspection. But to be honest, if we are continuously trying to figure out the point of life, I believe that's exactly how we're never going to find it. I think of it like a game of connecting the dots. If you look back on your life right now, and you think about all of the different moments, the different things that have happened that have led you up to this moment, it can turn out to be a pretty interesting storyline, right? But you have to agree that some people will just seemingly end up with more interesting storylines than others. Why is that? Why do some people end up looking back on their lives and thinking, why has my life not been as exciting as I'd hoped? Why is this person's life fantastic and mine isn't? Well, that's probably because you stayed at a certain point a little too long. You didn't reach for that next connecting dot. And without that many dots, you're creating a less detailed picture for yourself. A less beautiful picture than one with many dots. And yes, that is the Mona Lisa in connect the dots form. 3,000 dots right there in that piece. Now I want to tell you all a story of how I've connected some dots in my personal life. I was a freshman in college, and at the time, I started getting very into some highly motivational speakers. It's like, does anybody ever feel like they just need a shot of motivation? So they go to YouTube and they type something in like, motivation 2022, and they just hit play on whatever comes up. Is that just me? I'm seeing some nods. Well, for me, this was very beneficial as a freshman, because what you typically get when you go to YouTube and you type something in like this is a whole compilation of speakers telling you kind of similar things, go out, do something with your life, kick your own behind, right? Make today count. And I ended up getting very into some speakers like Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Eric Thomas. It's actually a very extensive list, so I'm just going to stop there. But I remember the impact that these people began having on me. I started looking at life differently. I started spending my energy in more productive ways. And I started believing that there was something inside of me that wanted to come out, something bigger that wanted to help people in the ways that these people were helping me. What I realized was that I had a passion to motivate. I wanted to motivate others to want to go out and pursue better, higher quality lives, because I believe we all deserve that. So what did I do? I joined a public speaking club. Yes, voluntarily. And I remember giving my first mini motivational speech. I was now a sophomore in college, and I actually presented this speech at a poetry night, crammed inside of this little coffee shop in front of about 150 people. So yes, being that it was at a poetry night, I did present my speech in poem form. And it was on facing your fears. And I was terrified. I remember walking into that coffee shop. I could smell the coffee beans that had been brewed earlier in the day. I could smell my own sweat from being nervous and afraid. and I could smell the aroma of the people around me that were just mingling, chatting, some of them waiting for it to be their turn to go up to the microphone. And soon enough, it was my turn. So I walked up to that microphone, real reluctantly. I was wearing a hat. I had it real low over my face. It was a fedora, as lame as that sounds these days. And I pulled out my phone, and I read my speech. It was about a minute and a half, maybe, at most. Do you think I got through it? I certainly did. And after I gave that speech, I felt so proud of myself. Wow, I felt like I had just accomplished this major feat. I went home and I celebrated with an entire pint of dark chocolate raspberry Talenti ice cream that night. Do we have any other Talenti fans out there? I see you. All right, so that is besides the point, but here comes the real motivation behind that story. So after I gave that speech, I didn't stay there. That was a moment in time where I'd made one accomplishment, where I'd connected one dot to my bigger purpose, but I was out for a bigger accomplishment. So I sought out other opportunities where I could continue connecting these dots, where I gave presentations, where I got in front of groups of people, where I could give more speeches. And eventually I landed right here on this stage. This is a very big dot that I'm standing on right now, and I'm very excited and happy to be here. Most recently, I have also gotten a job at the Savannah College of Art and Design as the studio coordinator for their newest professional presentation studio, where we actually have coaches that help people in the skill of communication, public speaking, presentation. So these are all dots that I've connected. And I want to tell you all this because I want it to encourage you. I want to say to you right now that you have the chance and the choice to leave the point you're at and pursue the next one. And I want you to think about that. Where are you right now? And what would that next dot look like for you? Now, I'm not saying it's always easy to connect the dots. It's not always easy to know what to do next. But I do want to emphasize the importance of at least trying and at least striving for excellence by bringing up a quote by the former UCLA basketball coach, John Wooden, who has many great quotes, by the way. He said, "If you make an effort to do the best you can, the results will be about what they should be. Not necessarily about what you want them to be, but if you've done your best, they will be about what they should be." All of the dots connected together is what will shape your life and what will determine your ultimate purpose. There will not be a day where you will just randomly stumble across the point of life, but rather life will continue consisting of a series of points. And once you're in your final days, you should be able to look back, connect the dots, and then find or see what you've always been looking for, or more so how everything fits together. Now, after hearing all of this, you shouldn't feel rushed in any way to get going, because for most of us living busy lives, it seems like we're already always going. We're searching. We're trying harder. It's like we think we're on our way somewhere more important, when really most of the time I think we're exactly where we're supposed to be, because nothing in life is pointless, after all. The journey is what matters, and the destination will be what you make it out to be. But focus on where you're at now, because right now, this is your point. This is where you're at, so make the most of it. You get to decide when you want to make that jump to the next connecting dot. And there are going to be big jumps in between these dots, and there are going to be smaller ones. But just a side note of encouragement, I don't think we'll ever run out of dots. So make your picture as marvelous as you'd like for as long as you'd like. There will always be another point waiting for you. Thank you.